And now, back to the Dr. A Show with your host, Dr. Will Aguila.
The Hallmark Movie Channel is a trusted family-friendly movie network devoted to quality storytelling that delivers a positive message. That is why we have teamed up with them to bring you the stars of their upcoming original movies. This week, a hidden family history leads a lone gunfighter to meet his long-lost father in the midst of a violent range war in Shadow on the Mesa, a Hallmark Movie Channel original world premiere, Saturday, March 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Pacific and 7 Central. Picture this. A skilled but stoic bounty hunter in the rugged American West finds the family he never knew when he journeys to discover the story behind his mother's murder and demand justice. A full lineup of great stars including Wes Brown, Kevin Sorbo, three-time Emmy nominee Gail Grady, three-time Emmy nominee Meredith Baxter, and Greg Evigan. It's my pleasure to welcome one of the stars of Shadow on the Mesa, Kevin Sorbo. Kevin played the lead in the USA Network's Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, where he became a star. Originally from Minnesota, Kevin got the acting bug by age 11 and fine-tuned his acting at home and overseas. After his 7 years as Hercules, he played Captain Dylan Hunt in the hit show Andromeda. Since then, he has appeared on numerous shows including Dharma and Greg, 2.5 Men, and a recurring role in The O.C. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the Dr. A Show.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Kevin, could you give us a quick synopsis of this movie, Shadow on the Mesa?
You know, it's just a good old-fashioned Western where you got the bad guy who's pretty much trying to muscle into the territories of other people and take over the land. And I've had my land for years and years, and it's just a big fight. And unfortunately, in the middle of it is my wife, who has been, unbeknownst to me up until I find out, has been having an affair with this guy and basically feeding him all the information that he needs to sort of take me out and take over the property. And throw in the mix, of course, I get a son that shows up. He's now in his early 20s that I didn't even know that I had through a woman that I fell in love with deeply, but through just, life and times, we ended up going our separate ways, but she got pregnant before I left. And he shows up thinking I had something to do with her death through a lot of misunderstandings on his own part. So it culminates in a good old shootout, but we have our own little gunfight at the OK Corral, so to speak.
But this seems to be a little departure from the typical Western. It seems like it's a little bit of a mystery thriller too. It's like a whodunit. Yeah,
there's a lot more mix to it. It's not. It's the first. I've done 3 Westerns now for Hallmark. I did an earlier one called Avenging Angel, which I think people would love. They want to check that one out, and the other one called Prairie Fever. And both of those, are a little more action, a lot more horse riding for me. And this one, I don't even ride a horse, for crying out loud. I'm on crutches the whole movie because I broke my leg, not in real life, but for the movie, I broke my leg when I was trying to break in a horse. So it's more of a little mystery, and just to figure out what's going on and what's happening, and it's an interesting storyline.
How did you prepare yourself for a role in a Western, especially for this role?
It really comes from the script almost every time. I look at these things, I get scripts all the time, and if I read through the first 20 pages and like it, I'll say yes to a role. If it doesn't hold my interest, I just pass on it, and I love Westerns, so it was, it really was there on the pages for me. I love the different emotions this guy's got to go through. He's a pretty, I'm going to say he's a hard-nosed guy, but he's used to sort of just doing things. He's a hard worker. He doesn't suffer fools very easily. He expects everybody to work hard around him, and it's just, I don't know. I kind of base him after my father in a way, because my dad was that way as well. It was just kind of he led us 5 kids with a little soft thunder, so to speak. So you listen to him when he had things to say.
Oh yeah, same here. I grew up the same way. I hear you. Now, the Western genre, was falling out of favor for a while, but now it seems to be making a very strong comeback. And what do you think that the Westerns are making such a strong comeback now?
I hope they make a bigger comeback overseas. I think that's the biggest holdback. You're seeing more and more Westerns. You're right. There's no question about that. Hallmark has always been very good at putting out Westerns. Yeah, there's just, the reality is, let's face it, these were hard people. To make that travel across the country the way they did, they probably leave with 30 people and end up with 10 by the time they get to the West Coast, between the Bears and the Indians and everybody else. And it was stinky. They had to be really dirty, too. But there's something romantic about the West. There's something romantic about, it's through the decades of movies, there's just something about it that people love. I was very fortunate to meet Robert Duvall. I've gotten to know him a little bit through the years here now, and after I finished Prairie Fever, I shot that about 6 years ago. I met him within about 6 months after I got done shooting the movie, and I told him I'd shot my first Western, and he sat me down, and he goes, every actor wants to do Western, don't they? And I said, yeah, I think they do. It's just, there's something about that genre that just attracts people.
Do you think maybe the public wants to identify with the spirit of the underdog who's fighting against great odds and succeeds? I mean, kind of the spirit of the Western?
Yeah, I think that's sort of normal in a way. I mean, you got March Madness going on now. People, there'll always be that Cinderella story, and people, a team that they never followed the entire basketball league, basketball season.
Right.
All of a sudden they'll jump on the bandwagon. But I think people like that. I mean, it's unfortunate. You get people that work their tails off and have success, and if they've had success a long time, for some reason we want to tear them down. And I remember I lived in New Zealand 7 years when I was shooting Hercules, and they call it the tall poppy syndrome, because all poppies grow the same height. If your poppy grows taller, they want to cut you down. But then at the same time, once you've been cut down, they appreciate the fact that you fought your way back up again. So there's something strange about finding success and having people cheer you on at first and all of a sudden knock you down.
Now, you played a lot of roles in your lifetime. What do you think has been your favorite role so far?
Well, I was going to lean back on Hercules. I mean, that was really the big kickoff for me. I had 7 wonderful years in New Zealand working with an amazing crew, international hit. I mean, it was 176 countries. We passed Baywatch as the most watched show in the world. I mean, that really gave me, I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for that and for people turning in to watch that. And it's got its second life now because it's on Hub TV and Netflix. So I'm getting these 15 and younger kids now coming up to me that were just, the 15-year-olds were 4 years old when the show went off the air. So it's been like
Isn't that great?
It's amazing.
Isn't that great? You're getting these younger fans. That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm walking through the grocery store now, or I'm just walking wherever at the park, and kids are coming up to me. You're Hercules, aren't you? You're Kevin Sorbo. It's pretty funny. For number one, you feel a little older, but the flip side, it's pretty cool that show has this longevity going on.
Do you have teenage kids or young kids? Or?
No, my kids are 11 and almost 9. My little girl is 7. So it's been pretty neat. I've been watching some of these episodes. They want to watch Hercules now, so I've watched a couple of them over the last year, and it's weird for me because I shot for 7 seasons, for crying out loud. We did well over 100 episodes. We did 5 2-hour movies, and I'm watching these things. I remember each one in its entirety, but each individual scene, there's scenes I'm looking going, that's me talking, but I have no recall of being in that scene. It's pretty funny.
But great memories, and what's going to happen is that your kids.
It's a great memory. Yeah, it's a great.
And their friends are going to watch this and say, "Your dad's Hercules. Your dad's Hercules."
Yeah, they think it's pretty neat. It's kind of fun. And now they're doing 2 Hercules movies, and I'm like telling my agent, I said, I know Rennie Harlin's doing one, and I know that they're doing a big one. One of the major studios is doing a huge one with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, playing Hercules. And I know Dwayne, and I actually sent him a text message. I said, dude, tell him to put me in the movie. Give me a cameo, for crying out loud. My show's still in 100 countries, for crying. It's like, give me a break. But
yeah, should at least put you in there. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, why not? Even for a fun joke, because I read the Dwayne Johnson script, and it's funny. It's like I felt like I was reading a Hercules episode, and I think that's why people have my series so much, because we had so much comedy in it. So you're like going, come on, man. Throw me a bone here. Let's do it. It'd be fun.
Oh yeah, and Dwayne Johnson is somebody who likes to make fun of himself, and he's secure with
he's always
and that's really neat.
He's always self-deprecating. He's always poking fun at himself.
So what's next for Kevin Sorbo?
I've got a movie that just came out now called Abel's Field. I hope people will check it out. It's a sort of a modern day Cain and Abel meets Friday Night Lights. They can go to Amazon.com and check it out. It's a really good family movie, and obviously Shadow on the Mesa, and I've got another one coming out in the fall on theaters, a theatrical release called God's Not Dead, which is it's interesting. It's a very good. It's like the movie Crash. You've got four different stories going on. They all sort of meet at the end of the movie. They sort of weave their way in together. And there's a couple other projects I'm working. Yeah, there's a couple other projects I'm working on right now. I got a Trial by Fire, which is sort of a Karate Kid type of movie coming that I'll be start shooting here in the next couple months, and just trying to stay busy.
All right, and very quickly, because we're running out of time, but tell me very quickly about the other the other stars in the movie?
Wes Brown plays my long-lost son, and Wes is, he's on a new series, I think it's called Scandal or something like that. And great kid, great guy, good actor. Gail O'Grady was wonderful to work with. Gail, I've known Gail a long time. We worked one time together. We did before we did a guest spot together. We played ex-husband and wife on 2.5 Men. And, just, I've just known her a long time. She's a wonderful actress. And, it was just a great experience for me to work with these guys because it's, like I said, I loved doing the Westerns, but, Dave Cass directed it, and he directed the other 2 Westerns I did as well, and he's been around forever. Dave's just, used to double for John Wayne and Robert Mitchum, do the stunt double work for him back in the day.
Well, that's great. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the show, and don't forget to watch Kevin Sorbo and the entire cast of The Shadow on the Mesa on Hallmark Channel Original Movie this Saturday, March 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern, Pacific, and 7 Central. Kevin, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
That's our show for today. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to follow us on thedrashow.com. Until next week, this is Dr. A wishing you a healthy and happy week.